Hello. Hi, now you've got me out there. Hello and welcome to PMQs with Graham Hughes. We're going to go straight over to the House of Parliament.
Very much for that, Minister. When it comes to creating new jobs in Wales...
I'm just going to turn the volume down on that because they're still talking about Wales. Come on, it's 12 o'clock. I'm here. You're here. We've got Billy Kendrick. We've got Billy Kershaw, Howard Kendrick. I shipped you. You've been shipped. Billy Kershaw there, Howard Kendrick, and Billy again. Welcome. If you'd like to join them in the chat, all you need to do is the relatively easy thing of just hitting the subscribe button. And here we go. Position. Here we go. So he's getting a cheer for Kemi Badenoch here, leader of the opposition.
I wish you well as leader of the opposition. I now call Dame Caroline Dinenage.
Who?
Question number one, Mr. Speaker.
Who?
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can I begin by congratulating President-elect Trump on his historic election victory. As the closest of allies, the UK and US will continue to work together to protect our shared values.
Is this day still going? Yeah. Another 12 hours of it, mate.
Having had dinner with President-elect Trump just a few weeks ago, I look forward to working with him in the years to come.
Oh,
May I also welcome the Leader of the Opposition to her place. My fourth Tory leader in 4.5 years. But I do look forward to working with her in the interests of the British public.
That's amazing, isn't it? Fourth
Mr.
leader
Speaker,
in 4.5 years.
This weekend is Remembrance Sunday, and people across the country will come together to pay solemn tribute to those who made the ultimate sacrifice, defending the values and freedoms that we enjoy today. And I'm sure the entire House will join me in paying tribute to them. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Dame Caroline.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My constituent Susan is going to miss out on her winter fuel allowance this winter because she's just £10 above the pension credit threshold.
That's ridiculous.
So as well as losing out on this vital money to keep her house warm, she also doesn't get the £150 warm home discount. She doesn't get the £169 free TV licence or free NHS prescriptions. For the sake of a tenner, Prime Minister, is this fair?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we passed a budget which was to fix the foundations of this country and to rebuild our country. And one of the issues we had to confront was the £22 billion black hole that was left by the last
he's just said it. He's just said it. He just said it.
That will stabilise our economy. That means we can commit to the triple lock, and that means that pensioners will be better off seeing the increase in their pension they would have been under the party opposite.
Jacob Collier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every week I meet hard-working families in Burton and Uttoxeter who are juggling raising their children and their family finances. When they hear the party opposite and its new leader say that maternity pay has gone too far, they are terrified about what this means for them. To ease the worry felt by thousands of hard-working families, can the Prime Minister please commit that he has no plans to change maternity pay or to roll back the hard-won rights of working families?
I thank my honourable friend for his question. He's a champion for families in his constituency. My answer is simple, yes. And I don't agree with the Leader of the Opposition when she says that maternity pay is excessive and that it's gone too far.
I come to the Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, can I thank the Prime Minister for his almost warm welcome, and can I also echo the comments that he has made. It is an immense privilege and the honour of my life to lead the Conservative Party, and I look forward to joining him at the Cenotaph this Remembrance Sunday. As leader of His Majesty's opposition, I will be taking a different approach to the last opposition by being a constructive opposition. And so I would like to start by congratulating President-elect Trump on his impressive victory this morning. The Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary met him in September. Did the Foreign Secretary take that opportunity to apologise for making derogatory and scatological references, including, and I quote, Trump is not only a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath, he is also a profound threat to the international order.
He is.
And if he did not apologise, will the Prime Minister do so now on his behalf?
No, he was right. He's absolutely right to say that.
Mr. Speaker, there will be many issues on which the Leader of the Opposition and I disagree, but there will be issues that do unite
diplomacy
this House
is very
on
important.
National security and Ukraine, and I do look forward to working closely with her on that, and I will provide her with the information that she needs to discharge her duties. That's the right thing for the country, and it's far more important than party politics. The Foreign Secretary and I did meet President-elect Trump just a few weeks ago for dinner for about a couple of hours, and we discussed a number of issues of global significance.
Let's mention the fact that
exercise.
That his running mate called him Hitler.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister did not distance himself from the remarks made by the Foreign Secretary, and I'm
Why are you trying to start a diplomatic incident? She's only been in the role for 5 seconds. She's trying to cause a diplomatic incident.
North London Labour activists
what a gobshite.
for his opponent. Given that most of his cabinet signed a motion to ban President Trump from addressing Parliament, will the Prime Minister show that he and his government can be more than student politicians by asking the Speaker to extend? Can they show that they can be more than student politics?
Order.
More than student politics.
Gosh,
she's such a gobshite.
Curries, it's like mine, too low.
I can't be dealing with this today. I might just mute her.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister show that he and his government can be more than student politicians by asking you, Mr. Speaker, to extend an invitation to President Trump to address
my
Parliament
God, what, so you can
on
get down
his
on your knees?
visit?
Worship him like a fucking weirdo.
The Leader of the Opposition
Get
is doing
away.
a masterclass on student politics.
Yeah. Yes. Good response, mate. Good response.
Mr. Speaker, we live in probably more volatile world than we've lived in for many decades.
She's already trying to start a fight, over
crucial
nothing.
That we have a strong relationship, that strong special relationship.
Boris Johnson
in difficult
apologised for what he said about Trump.
The US and the UK. We will continue to work, as we have done in the 4 months in government, on issues of security, our economy, and global conflict.
I've never seen someone look so simultaneously smug as it was sucking on a lemon.
Read the lines the officials have prepared for him. It doesn't sound like he wants to invite President-elect Trump to Parliament. He needs to look after the special relationship. The US is our single biggest trade partner. Given the risk of increased tariffs on UK exports, which threaten our manufacturing sector, will the Prime Minister commit now to continue the negotiations on our free trade agreement with the US, which the Biden administration cancelled when they came into office?
We're not going to get a good free trade deal.
Mr. Speaker, of course we will discuss issues of our economy with the President-elect, as we already have done. Economy, security and global conflict are issues of real significance that ought to unite this House. But when it comes to the economy, what we've done with our budget is to fix the foundations after 14 years.
I need to get fixed the foundations as a pop-up, don't I? Look at that smirking bleep, Alan.
We've protected the pay slips of working people. We've done the single biggest investment in our country for a generation in the NHS, in schools and homes. We've given a pay rise to the 3 million lowest paid. Now, if she's opposed to that investment or the pay rise for working people, she's a straight talker as I understand it, perhaps she should say so.
Mr. Speaker.
I just want to interrupt because Play It Cool's left a comment saying, I don't mean this to be bad, but I'm going to be unsubscribing. I'm tapping out of politics for the next 4 years and I'm never reading the news again. I really enjoyed your content. If you're still watching Play It Cool, completely understand. Absolutely. Get yourself digital detox. And, you know, when you're ready, in 4 years' time, maybe we'll see you again. But you've got to look after yourself before you can even think about looking after other people or the world entire. And some of us respond to these kind of things in different ways. I'm very looking forward to not thinking about it too much this time next week when I'm on my island and shifting soil all day, as long as it's not raining.
Discuss, chat. He has no plans whatsoever no plans whatsoever for building on the special relationship.
What?
He
How do you know?
needs to realise
Just come
that
out with
we
that?
in this country
You just said
rely
that.
on
No
our single biggest
no
trade
proof
partner.
whatsoever.
President Trump is also right to argue
she's really
that
the
Europe
worst.
needs to increase its defence spending. The last Conservative government committed to raising defence spending to
You cut it.
2.5%
You cut
by
it. You kept
2030.
cutting it.
Will the Prime Minister
They did this in the
match
budget.
this
They
commitment?
did this in the budget. They did this in the budget.
There is no more important duty than keeping the people of this country safe.
From Donald Trump.
The Labour government that signed the NATO treaty in the first place, and we are strong supporters. We have a strategic defence review. We are committed to 2.5%. Well, I would remind the last time 2.5 was met was under the last Labour government.
Yeah, that's true.
14
it's true.
years, and they never did it once.
Nope.
Last year, the NAO identified a £17 billion black hole in the MOD finances. The former Defence Secretary said the previous government hollowed out the armed forces.
They did.
And the plan they put forward at the election was pure fantasy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mr. Speaker, he will not make that commitment. That is very clear. All that he is doing,
What? They already made it in the
I'm going to hear
budget.
the questions. If the people who don't want to hear it, they can leave now.
Oh God, she's
Come
just
on.
horrible.
Mr. Speaker, he will not make that commitment.
Literally
and
hate
yet
everything
the world
about her.
is getting more dangerous. His
Yeah, because of
Chancellor's
people
budget
like Trump.
did not even mention defence.
It
The
did.
Chancellor's budget last
totally
week
did.
was a
What are you talking
copy
about?
and paste of Bidenomics. It
What?
turns out that a high
Bidenomics?
spending, high borrowing, high
What?
inflation approach is less popular than she may have thought. May I suggest he now urge her to change course, or is he determined to be a one-term leader?
Prime Minister.
The one thing I learned as leader of the opposition is it's a good idea to listen to what the government is actually saying.
Yeah.
She just said that defence wasn't mentioned in the budget. It was 7 days ago that it was absolutely clear and central to the budget, as was economic growth. We are fixing the foundations. We're
Yeah,
doing a
right-wing just
pay
arguing
rise
with
to
this woman.
millions of people. We're picking up the mess that they left, 22 billion.
Yeah.
And a tax rise and a pay rise for working people.
22 billion pound black hole.
Welcome that pay rise for the 3 million lowest paid workers. Does she now welcome it? Does she stick to her previous policy that it's excessive?
She's just wasted all of their questions. She's not asked anything
Mr.
constructive
Speaker,
at
I was
all.
the one who raised the minimum wage last year as business secretary. I have a strong record on this, but we need to make sure that we balance the books. His scripted lines are showing that he has not even listened to the budget himself. So I will try a different question.
Yeah, she
Perhaps
is
he
clip
can
farming.
give something that is unscripted to the people watching. Farmers across the
there you go.
United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr.
I was just laughing at her.
Order!
Oh.
I don't need any help. Can I just say, if somebody wants to leave, I'll be helping them do that. I'm going to hear the question, and I certainly want to hear the answer as well. So please, let's have some courtesy.
Mr. Speaker, we have
Why should we
heard
give
him
courtesy to
repeat
someone
the
who doesn't give
lines
courtesy
on the
to anyone else?
television, fixing the foundations and so on. But what does he say, over and over again, but what does he say to farmers who are facing uncertainty about their futures as a result of the increased taxes announced by the Chancellor?
She says, reading a script.
I am very clear that we would reverse Labour's cruel family farms tax.
Full tax.
What can he say
20%
now to
if your
reassure
farm's
the
worth more
farming
than female,
community who provides security for the whole nation?
Prime Minister.
I'm happy to help the leader of the opposition. If she's going to complain about scripted answers, it's probably best not to read that from a script.
Yes.
What I say about farmers is this: I'm glad she's raised farmers because the budget last week put £5 billion over the next 2 years into farming. That's the single biggest increase, unlike the £300 million, which was underspent under the last government. And when it comes to inheritance, the vast majority of farmers will be unaffected, as she well knows, as they well know.
Yeah.
But that budget was about
And it
fixing the
protects small
foundations.
farmers as well.
fixing the whole 22 billion that they left and investing in the future of our country, investing in our NHS, investing in our schools, our hospitals and our homes. And I'm proud that that's the investment work. And if they oppose it, they should go out there and tell their constituents they're against that investment in the future of our country. That's the difference. A Labour government taking us forward. They're stuck in the past.
Yes. Nicely put.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'm going to hear Matthew Patrick.
Mr. Speaker, Emily left her ex, but the abuse did not stop. He stayed in their home, cancelled the mortgage contributions and destroyed her credit score. Now she cannot even take out a mobile phone contract. Surviving economic abuse and UK finance have made progress tackling this issue, but more has to be done. Will the Prime Minister and his government work with me to introduce new provisions so that we can restore the credit files for survivors of economic abuse like Emily?
Well, I thank my honourable friend for raising this really important issue, because economic abuse has a devastating impact on victims, leaving them vulnerable and isolated. And we are committed to ending this national emergency and keeping women safe from domestic abuse, harassment and stalking. And, Mr. Speaker, that includes 200,000 this year to the charity Surviving Economic Abuse, and HMRC have launched an online tool to help charities and businesses identify and respond to economic abuse. And I'll make sure he has a meeting with the relevant minister.
Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey.
Can I join the Prime Minister in his comments about Remembrance Sunday? We must always remember the brave British men and women who gave their lives for our country. And can I join him in welcoming the Conservative leader to her place? And can I congratulate her on becoming the first black leader of a UK-wide party, a major and historic achievement? Mr. Speaker, President-elect Trump praised Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. And I quote, he called it genius. He also said he would encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want to NATO allies. So what action is the Prime Minister taking to encourage a Trump presidency to change its mind? Because otherwise it's a huge threat to global security and to national security in the UK. Does he agree with me that the US will not oppose President Putin and support our brave Ukrainian allies? The UK must lead in Europe so that together we do.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very proud that in this House we are united on the question of Ukraine and clear about Russian aggression, and we will continue to do so. I've long taken the view that the only winner, if we are divided in this House, is Putin, and I'm not prepared to let that happen. Our relationship with the US is a strong relationship forged in very difficult circumstances historically. It remains as strong today as it was when it was first forged, and I look forward to working with President-elect Trump to ensure that relationship stays a special relationship.
Sir Ed Davey.
I'm grateful for the Prime Minister's comments on Ukraine, but Donald Trump has also said that trade wars are good. He calls himself tariff man. People are really worried that Trump trade wars and tariff will damage our economy, damage businesses and hit the cost of living here in the UK. So, given this, does the Prime Minister recognise that it's more urgent than ever that we support our British economy by getting rid of the damaging trade barriers with Europe put in place by the Conservatives?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as he will know, we've put the economy centrepiece to our budget, and we will do everything that we need to do to ensure our economy grows, and that's measured in living standards going up for working people across the country. Thank you.
Alex Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are so many families across Aldershot and Farnborough who have struggled for years to get their children the need they help with special educational needs. It is therefore shameful to read misguided claims that autistic people may well get better treatment and receive economic privileges and protections made by the Leader of the Opposition. Will the Prime Minister stand with families of autistic children and distance this government from those awful words?
Here. Yeah. Kemi Badenoch is a nightmare.
Leave the Leader of the Opposition to respond to those words. As the recent NAO report exposed, under the previous government, children with SEND were being failed by the system. And this has come up, I think, now 5 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks at PMQs. It's clearly a serious issue. Our focus will be ensuring every child receives the right support to succeed in their education.
Sorsa Eastwood.
Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister, Northern Ireland is considered one of the most dangerous places in Europe to be a woman. In the last 4 years, 24 women have been killed. But one of the most dangerous places for women and girls is online. I also want to pay tribute to the work of Belfast and Lisburn Women's Aid, who are tireless in their advocacy for women. So what is this government doing to keep women and girls safe online, not just in Lagan Valley, but right across the United Kingdom?
Well, the honourable member is right to draw attention to this issue. Misogyny and abuse, both online and offline, causes horrendous harm to women and girls across the UK. And can I just commend her honesty and bravery in speaking out about her own experiences and her dedication to creating safe spaces for women in her constituency. We must create a safer world online for women and girls through the Online Safety Act, mitigating the risk of illegal content and activity which is abusive or incites hatred.
Bill Cole.
Everyone in Southwark will benefit from the positive measures in the budget last week, especially the thousands on the minimum wage, getting a real terms increase to help themselves, help their families and help the economy. But the new leader of the Tory party, this week's leader, is on record as saying she wants to scrap it, having seemingly learnt nothing from July. Will the Prime Minister pledge to protect the minimum wage and increase it in this Parliament as finances allow?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the last Labour
That wasn't really a question, was it, to the Prime Minister?
With the national
That was
minimum
just a
wage,
dig.
something which was opposed by the party opposite at the time. And sadly, they don't seem to have changed. I was surprised by the comments of the Leader of the Opposition. I was surprised to see the new Shadow Business Secretary say the minimum wage, and this is a quote, something legislators pass to make themselves feel good. I disagree, and I'm very proud of the fact that this Labour government has raised wages for 3 million of low-paid workers, and I expect the party opposite to welcome that.
George Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After 14 years shaping the UK's long-term strategies for life science, agri-tech, fusion and space, I welcome the government's industrial strategy. But too many of our great companies are being bought out by our competitors. To build the industries of tomorrow here, we need to unlock some of the hundreds of billions in UK pension funds in the city, only 3% of which are now investing in UK equities. With the new Lord Mayor making this a priority and the Mansion House speech imminent, will the new government commit to see through the last government's reforms to unlock British capital for British R&D growth?
Well, I thank him for welcoming the industrial strategy, and I do know this is an issue close to his heart that he has spoken about and acted on for many years. The budget sees record numbers of R&D investment with over 20 billion next year, including over 2 billion to support our world-leading life sciences sector. And through the British Growth Partnership, we'll crowd in pension funds investment to support innovative business. And we've launched our landmark pensions review to unlock the billions of investment into the UK and boost growth and living standards across the country. Thank you.
Catherine Brooks.
Mr. Speaker, as the Chancellor said last week, we were left a toxic legacy by the previous government, including rivers filled with polluted waste. Will the Prime Minister put the River Wye into special measures by designating it a water protection zone? And will he meet with me and the excellent cross-border Wye Catchment Partnership to deliver their plan to
deliver? Woo! We got to deliver. Phew! Jesus.
The River Wye is one of our most iconic rivers, and we are working closely with the Welsh Government on this pressing issue.
British X or British Y makes me uneasy for reasons I can't quite pin down. Yeah, got a very
And that's why we launched a water commission to attract investment and speed up infrastructure delivery. And we introduced legislation to enable tougher penalties and severe fines to crack down on polluters. I will make sure that she gets a meeting with the relevant minister.
Part of the House to Emberley.
As a good lawyer, I know the Prime Minister will want to listen to the evidence. So if the evidence mounts from experts in organisations such as the NFU that smaller family farms of average size, 250 acres, are going to be severely impacted by this tax, in a spirit of compromise, will he listen to the evidence, keep an open mind, and perhaps be prepared to raise the thresholds to preserve our family farms?
Mr. Speaker, we are listening to farmers, and the Environment Secretary and the Treasury Ministers met with the NFU on Monday of this week. We have taken a fair and balanced approach. The vast majority of farms will not be affected by this. But what I will also say this, having grown up in a rural community, I know that rural communities also need an NHS that's back on its feet. They also need schools that their children can go to and homes that their families can afford to live in. But we will continue to talk to the NFU and others.
Eric Glendale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This week, the Leader of the Opposition told us that any outrage at suitcases full of wine and karaoke machines in Downing Street, whilst people across the country were told to stay at home, was all overblown. For the people and businesses in my constituency who followed the rules, many of us at great personal cost, this is an insult. Will the Prime Minister join me in ensuring that as a country we learn the lessons from COVID,
just lining up to have a dig at
party,
Kemi.
The Conservatives learn the lessons of their behaviour too?
Mr. Speaker, across the country, people made enormous sacrifices during COVID. They missed weddings, births, deaths. Really important moments in their lives and their families' lives. In doing so, they saved the lives of people they will probably never meet. That was a collective effort, and unfortunately, the party opposite who set the rules did not follow them themselves. It was a betrayal of those that did, and I think the Leader of the Opposition was wrong to describe the public anger and upset as overblown. I'm sure she'll want to clarify that at the first opportunity.
Cyfarydd, Glan Horse Nursing Home is in my constituency in Ysmôn. Tell me that the budget changes mean a 10% increase in their cost. That's a staggering £127,500 extra in-year cost. Will the Prime Minister reconsider the rise in the employer's national insurance?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what we did in the budget last week was to ensure that no one would face tax rises in their pay slip. We had to deal with the £22 billion black hole, but when we did so, we protected the smallest businesses and charities. We doubled the employment allowance to £10,500. That means that 40% of employers won't pay employers' NICs. Companies with 4 employees or less on a minimum wage will pay no employer NICs at all, and half of businesses that pay NICs will see no change or pay less after the budget. Thank you.
Bill Brickle.
Yeah, my constituents in Bolton West were pleased to hear last week's budget prioritise investment in public infrastructure, including important projects such as the electrification of the Wigan to Bolton railway line, which will deliver more reliable and greener journeys. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that investment in the key infrastructure of towns such as Horwich, West Horton, Blackrod and Bolton is the only way to deliver economic growth and prosperity for all?
2 delivers in one question.
Well, my honourable friend is a champion for the North West, and the budget secured investment for vital transport projects to transform connectivity across the north of England and drive economic growth. And that includes completing the Wigan to Bolton electrification, a really important momentum on the Northern Powerhouse
where's
Rail.
Sunak?
Over £5 billion to support everyday journeys for working people. By restoring economic stability, increasing investment, we're taking our country forward.
Victoria Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Swan Youth Project in Berkhamsted is an incredible drop-in centre that intervenes to bring hope and a better future to teenagers like Lex and Megan who've been facing anxiety, depression and long mental health waiting lists, as well as families coping with SEND. They've already written to the Treasury saying that they're worried about getting the funds that they need as our communities face a tough winter and grants are depleting. Parul, the manager, also assures me that she makes a mean curry and would welcome the Prime Minister. So will the Prime Minister join me to discuss their concerns and ensure that organisations in the third sector like theirs get the support that they need as they work tirelessly for our communities?
Prime Minister.
She'll be pleased now. I've been to Berkhamsted a number of times. We've got very good friends who live there. And I want to pay tribute to the work of the Swan Youth Project because too many young people, she's cited some, are struggling with mental health and not receiving the support that they need. And that's why we will recruit an additional 8,500 mental health workers and are introducing reforms to the Mental Health Act, long overdue, and that's happening today. Of course, we will also put more money into SEND, but we also need to look at reforming SEND, something that I think and hope will be supported across this House, and I'll make sure she gets a meeting with the relevant ministers about that.
My right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, will know that after 14 years of Tory ideological hostility and cuts, our universities are in financial meltdown. In my own constituency of Norwich South, the University of East Anglia is having to make redundancies, as are many others. Our honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Education, has started to address the problem, but we need a longer-term solution that doesn't simply saddle more debt on our young people. So can my right honourable friend say how we can move to fix the foundations of higher education as we go forward?
Prime Minister.
I thank him for that question. He's right to raise higher education because we inherited a sector facing severe financial challenges. Universities have suffered real terms decline in their income, and the gap between disadvantaged students and their peers is the highest on record. We've had to take tough decisions to put that on a secure footing, but we are also taking the step of easing the living pressures by increasing the maintenance loans, which is worth £414 extra per year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Alex Brooke.
Hamilton, former sub-postmistress and constituent of North East Hampshire, has long been campaigning, along with Alan Bates, for compensation following the Horizon Post Office scandal. Yeah. Can the Prime Minister give an exact time frame in which those who have been waiting over a decade might finally be compensated?
I'm grateful to her for raising this important issue because a commitment was made to properly compensate the victims of this scandal. Unfortunately, regrettably, having made that commitment, the party opposite, when in government, didn't allocate any money to that compensation. Her constituents will be pleased to know that we have changed the approach there. We've set out the compensation within the budget, a transparent budget, an accountable budget, and we'll make the payments just as soon as we can.
Torkel Triton.
Speaker, may I quickly echo the Prime Minister's sentiments to that other son of Lewis, though I wish I had woken up today in the Isle of Harris. My constituents there face long delays, cancellations and loss of service because of the SNP's incompetent handling of ferry procurement. In last week's budget, the Scottish Government received a record settlement. Can I urge the Prime Minister to tell Scottish ministers to use that to improve public service in Scotland, to invest in the NHS in Hill and Year, to build schools in places like Barra, and to finally fix the ferry fiasco?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, last week in the budget we delivered the largest settlement for the Scottish Government in real terms since devolution. That includes £3.4 billion through the Barnett formula, a fuel duty freeze, an increase
Liz
in
Truss is
national living
not in the
wage,
House of Lords.
benefiting his
Neither is Boris
constituencies,
Johnson.
and all those
Neither is
across
Theresa May.
Scotland. And the result of the budget is now clear. The SNP in power in Scotland have the powers, they now have the money, they've got no more excuses.
Going to be ejected.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister really think it is acceptable for a backbench MP to suggest that the Leader of the Opposition represents white supremacy in blackface and is the most prominent member of white supremacy's black collaborator class, with all the race traitor innuendo that carries. And if he doesn't, why hasn't he removed the whip?
She was right.
No, I don't.
John Slinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a semi-retired violinist and rock musician asking a semi-retired multi-instrumentalist, I feel confident that the Prime Minister shares my belief in the importance of music education. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that as we unleash the potential of our country, we must invest in the educational infrastructure of creative arts subjects so that they're accessible to all?
Yes.
And will he visit my constituency to see the great work of the schools there, despite the inheritance we received?
Prime Minister.
I'm not sure about the description semi-retired, although that may be the wish of the
Oh, May's in the House of Lords,
opposite.
is she?
But on music,
Okay, Bonanza,
what
I was
do
wrong.
know from
Truss
personal
isn't
experiences, music, the creatives and art are really important for children and young people in terms of the pleasure it gives them, the knowledge, but the working in groups and the leadership. And that's why we are determined to ensure that they are counted subjects again within the curriculum, which will encourage many more schools to provide it within the curriculum and enrich the futures of children and young people across the country.
James Cleverly.
Look at him on the back bench. So sad.
Before the election, he claimed that he would not put up national insurance contributions. He put it up. Before the election, he claimed he would scrap tuition fees. He put it up. Before the election, he said he would not tax family farms. He's taxing family farms. Will he address his party's growing reputation for dishonesty by making good on his commitment to close the Wethersfield Asylum Accommodation Centre in my constituency?
Jimmy Dimley.
Mr. Speaker, we're keeping the promises we made in our manifesto.
Yeah. Didn't say anything about tuition fees in the manifesto, by the way.
If it could add up, it might be down here rather than...
Hey! I knew there'd be a dig.
Douglas McAllister.
Can't add up. What a shame.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monday of this week marked the 7-year anniversary of my constituent Jagtar Singh Johal's arbitrary detention in India. Can the Prime Minister assure me that he and his government will do all they can to secure his immediate release and bring him home?
Yes, we're absolutely committed to pushing the government of India on this really important case. And the Foreign Secretary
not enough caffeine in this water.
Continue to do so, and we'll make sure that we speak to him as we do.
Right, that completes Prime Minister's question.
Thank fuck for that. Right, we're all done. Okay, peeps. We've got the intro again. That's nice. Always nice to get the intro in. You can never have enough intros. That's the way I feel. Especially when you have them on autoplay. Okay, so that's it for PMQs. I'm going to head off now in a minute. Just want to say thank you very much to Haruhi and to Gallifrey Men and Billy, Simon Smith in there from Wales. We've also got who else in there? Puninator, Lucas, Nick. Thanks for joining us today. That's going to be the last PMQs watch party for a little while, I think, because I'm not going to be able to do them for a month while I am in Panama. I leave on early Friday morning. We're not doing the intersection tonight. Rachel's got an event on. So if you would like to join us tomorrow at 9:30 for Morning Brew, it's going to be Phil Morehouse's last Morning Brew. And then on Friday, we'll be doing Morning Brew from Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam as I'm making my way to Panama. And I'm flying. Yes, I know I'm not supposed to fly, but I don't have 3 weeks spare to travel over the sea and then overland. It's been a long day, says Lucas. Yeah, it certainly has, my friend. Those of you who need it, including me, go get some sleep, please. And there's 2 ways we can do this, okay? And each one is just as valid as the other. We can have a little bit of a digital detox. Stop scrolling. Stop thinking there's going to be some update and Trump's going to just have a heart attack and everything will be sorted. If it's getting to your mental health, just switch off. Just have a bit of time away from the news. It's not going to affect you in your life over the next few days. Don't even for the next 2 months, because Trump's not going to be in power until the end of January next year. Okay, so that's the main thing. Take time to spend time with your friends, your family, the people that you love, and hold them tight. You know. And for those of us who are, maybe doing a little bit of a digital detox, but are determined to fight on, you can rejoin us when you're ready to, and it's as simple as that. You have to take care of yourself first, and if you are going to be fighting every day from the next 4 years against the forces of evil and the billionaires, well, the same thing really, then just want to say, good. We need to do this. And if you are feeling scared right now, and there's something that you can do to alleviate that doesn't require doing anything morbid, go and do it. Make sure that you look after yourself. You turn off the news, stop scrolling, delete your Twitter account, even unsubscribe from this channel if you need to. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but your health's got to come first. Your mental health has to come first. So let's have a little bit of time off. Like I say, we've just got 2 more shows this week, both morning brews at 9:30, and then next week we'll be starting a new show called Afternoon Brew. Sorry, no, Island Brew, which will be at 1 o'clock every weekday. And possibly at the weekend as well. I haven't decided yet. I'll see what the lay of the land is when I get there. But I've got to get set up with a SIM card and my phone and everything. Make sure that all works on the island. Before I do that, there you go. The Democrats got complacent. Duke, we could rake over the coals of how the Democrats messed this up. There's so many things they did. One thing I thought was very good was Kamala Harris's attempt to win. I mean, I thought that she didn't put a foot wrong. There's been some criticism that she didn't talk enough about policy. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, she was up against a guy who's nuts. He's not talking about policy. I think people are just turned off and falling asleep. But Biden not stepping down. Ruth Bader Ginsburg not stepping down before she died. Terrible, terrible, terrible decisions. Like, get over yourself, Democrats. Democrats not listening to their own voter base in a lot of circumstances, and making the same mistake that, all things being equal, I will probably make the same mistake in their shoes, because I'm not a politician, I'm not a diplomat, right? I'm a gob on a stick. But they alienated the very people that they needed to get on side. They just said, all these people are shit, we're not even going to engage in them. And I think studies in the future might show a big mistake for Kamala Harris was not going on Joe Rogan. And that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but Trump didn't win by very much. I don't think he's even going to win the popular vote when they're all counted. Probably won't. But, every vote counted, and any opportunity to reach voters who might go on side with what you've got to say, that was a golden opportunity. And like Labour in this country, I always feel like the Democrats in America are always fighting the last war, and they need to just get their heads out of their arses and learn to fight on. And please let them take the House of Representatives. Obviously, all those votes aren't in yet, so we don't know if they're going to get a majority in the House of Representatives. But the worst of all possible worlds will be a Trump presidency and the Republicans running both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Anyway, so thank you very much for joining me. Mike Galsworthy, well, at least we only voted for Boris Johnson once. Yeah, I saw that. Billy says, go for a walk in nature, 2 hours, you'll feel better. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to go for a walk, actually. I was going to go for a sleep. I think I'd rather go for a walk. Go catch some Pokemon. Howard says, I'll be around from time to time, Graham. Can't say much as I can't hear much due to continued loud drilling next door. Sorry to hear that, mate. Get yourself some earplugs. I love that Bernie is an independent, says Haruhai. And then we've got MH Carer saying, all night Trump's number never fell below 51%. Very strange. Well, all the billionaires in the world wanted that motherfucker to win. So what can we do? What can we do when we're not, I'm hardly even 1,000 a day, even if that's the thing. 3-job Americans have had enough, but Trump won't solve it. Yeah, he'll just make it worse. He'll make everything worse. He'll make the American economy worse. He'll make the world economy worse. He'll make the security situation for the world worse. He'll make, he will empower Putin, and he'll make the furtive moves towards doing something about climate change even worse. He's going to pull America out of the Paris Climate Change Agreement again, even though it's not legally binding. He's a gobshite. He's an absolute gobshite. And I'm not a praying man, but I encourage, I beseech us all to just pray for the day that he unalives. May it come soon. And but then who's going to be the president after that? Oh God, it's going to be that horrible JD Vance fella. Oh Jesus, wept. Anyway, right. On that happy note, no, seriously, thank you so much for staying with this channel through all this. Obviously, we've got turbulent waters yet to come. I hoped it would be plain sailing for the next few years, and we could just kick back and enjoy some form of competence when it came to the governance of the Western world, if you want to call it that. But unfortunately, that's life, innit? It's just the way it goes. But we're not going to be short of content, I'll tell you that. Jesus Christ. And Bella says, Starmer has never understood that he didn't win the GE, that he was just the best loser. I disagree with that, Bella. And I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but the Tories really, really, really lost in the EU elections in 2019. They got like 7% of the vote, like 7% of the vote. And if you could argue that, that it was just because the Tories were awful at the time under Theresa May, then Labour should have just swept the board. But they didn't. Labour went down to 14%. They were overtaken by Refuck, or whatever they were calling themselves those days, the Brexit Party. They were overtaken by the Brexit Party, the opposition. Not just the government party, but the opposition party as well. And you could argue, well, they weren't really, paying that much attention to the EU elections that year because we were supposed to be leaving the EU anyway. However, it was very indicative to the fact that it wasn't enough for the Tories just to be bad. Labour had to offer some kind of, remedy to the solution. They couldn't give a solution that people saw as just as bad, if not worse. And so that's why I feel like Labour lost the 2019 election. And although you're right in a way, like, a lot of those votes came across from disgruntled Tories, Labour was smart enough to welcome those voters over with open arms, much to the chagrin of people on the left of the party. And I completely get their upset. Like, why are you catering to these dickheads? Yeah, I get it. But here's the thing. We live in a democracy, okay? You've got to cater, unfortunately, for a few dickheads, or you will never get into power. And that's a lesson that I hope the Democrats take from this, because just saying Trump equals bad man, it was never going to work. I liked it when they were calling him weird, because that seemed to cut through. So, yeah, he is a bit weird. He definitely is weird. But then, politicians being weird? Come on. Showbiz for weirdos. Anyway, I really want to binge on crisps, says Lee Corn. You do that, Mike. No problem. And then Svag says, yes, it has to be credible enough. And Scalafame Red, I'm going to watch Futurama, play with trains, and maybe have a short nap. Take care, peeps and peepettes. Watch. There's a few episodes of the new season of Futurama that I haven't seen, so I think I'll do something similar. Go for a walk, come back, watch Futurama. I've already had a bath today. I'll just let you know. I've already had a soak in the bath because I just wanted to just lay there and just clear my mind and not doom scroll. Do you know what I did? I just doom scrolled. Of course I did. I'm an idiot. Anyway, right. So thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Like I say, Phil will be back in the morning at 9:30 in the morning. Sorry, I pressed the wrong thing. I'm trying to multitask, which is never a good idea. You always mess it up when I'm trying to produce and actually make content at the same time. I like trains, says Cottrell. I like trains too. Let's all bond over the fact that we like trains. Bella says, I think there's a difference where we're drawing the threshold. Yeah, Labour did well enough to not just rot. They didn't cross the line to actually not have to do the reform throng. Yeah, I know. I recommend you watch Disenchantment. I've watched that as well. It's really good. I like it. Do you know what? bloody The Boys. I don't know if you watched the latest season of The Boys, and I don't want to put spoilers anymore, but it kind of teed us up for what's just happened. Absolutely teed us up for what's just happened. My God. Thanks for that, makers of The Boys. Right, I'll call it a day, and until next time, I'll say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in Panama. And until then, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.